Hello, everybody. Well, we've been live twice today, so I thought I'd record another video because, of course, we finally have the much anticipated court filing on the Outsourcing Facilities Association versus the FDA case from the Texas courts. This case has captured the attention of everyone impacted by the availability, and today's joint status report provides a clear look at where things stand. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Downsized. My name is Christopher Durham, and my wife Lorraine and I are here to share our adventure with GLP-1 medications and explore the latest updates impacting patients who are using these medications to treat the disease of obesity. Together, we've lost over 130 pounds. I've personally lost 86 of those from my experience with compounded Tirzepatide, Mounjaro, and Zepbound. If you're new to our channel, we'd love for you to hit like and subscribe and make sure you tap that bell so it alerts you every time that we have an update. And as you've seen today, we've had several. So here's what the filing says. So let me pull it up. Here we go. The filing. So we have a subscription to Pacer Monitor that allows us to get alerts on these, and we can download the files for a very small price. So as I said, here's what the filing says. The United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas, Fort Worth Division, Outsourcing Facilities Association et al. Plaintiffs versus U.S. Food and Drug Administration et al. Defendants. The case number, and this is a joint status report from the defendant and the plaintiff. So the parties submit this joint status report pursuant to this court's orders dated October 11th, 2024 and November 22nd, 2024. The October 11th, 2024 order granted defendants unopposed motion to voluntarily remand the challenged decision to the United States Food and Drug Administration and stay litigation pending further court order. The November 22nd, 2024 order continued the stay and ordered the parties to file a further joint status report by December 19th, 2024, which is, of course, today. This report is part of a process this court set up earlier, so there was two earlier pieces that just kind of slowed everything down and said, the FDA, we want to go back and take a look at everything and make sure we've dotted all our I's and crossed our T's. So what it did was it kept the case paused while the FDA reevaluated its decision about compounded Tirzepatide. Today's filing outlines what the FDA decided and the next steps in the case. So here's the critical update from the filing. And I'm quoting, upon reevaluation on December 19th, 2024, which is, of course, today, the FDA issued a declaratory order regarding Tirzepatide injection products. Now, if you saw our second live stream today, we reviewed that entire declaratory order, and we'll discuss it a little bit here, but you can go back and watch the whole thing. And there's a link in the description of that. You can go read the whole thing. So what they said was in this declaratory order regarding Tirzepatide injection products, determining that the shortage is resolved and providing for periods of enforcement discretion. The FDA is essentially saying that the Tirzepatide shortage is over, but instead of immediately cracking down on outsourcing facilities or compounding pharmacies, telehealth providers, you name it, they've allowed a short grace period of enforcement discretion. This means the FDA will not take action during the grace period. The FDA includes the letter we reviewed earlier, so that declaratory statement today as an exhibit to the court, and that gives all the detail. So in that, they said for state licensed pharmacists or physicians compounding under Section 503A of the FD&C Act, 60 calendar days from the date of this order until February 18th, 2025, and for outsourcing facilities under Section 503B of the FD&C Act, 90 calendar days from the date of this order until March 19th, 2025, they will be able to continue to sell compounded Tirzepatide. And theoretically, whatever's in stock, there's some gray period there. The filing goes on to clarify, however, defendants will continue as described in the motion to exercise enforcement discretion and not take action against plaintiffs and their members for conduct arising from conditions that depend on Tirzepatide's inclusion on the drug shortage list. So beyond today's discretion. So yeah, basically it spells out what we already knew. There's also the possibility of extending this grace period if the OFA files a motion for a preliminary injunction. The filing states, if plaintiffs file a motion for preliminary injunction in 2 weeks of today's decision, defendants will continue to exercise such enforcement discretion through the court's resolution of that motion. The parties are still figuring out the timeline for this, but they note the parties will confer regarding a preliminary injunction briefing schedule, including the possibility of extending the enforcement discretionary period for plaintiffs to file their preliminary injunction motion beyond the 2 weeks described in the defendant's unopposed motion. Finally, the court expects another status update. So there's always a date, right? Another status update or a motion by January 2nd, 2025, where we'll learn more about what comes next in this legal battle. So it's not over yet, guys. There's still some discretionary period. There's still a potential of an injunction. There's still a question of what will happen. Will the OFA file more? But the court expects to hear back on January 2nd, so just after the new year. So is the Tirzepatide Zepbound Mounjaro shortage truly over? Well, while the FDA has declared it resolved, this doesn't necessarily reflect the reality from many patients. And we know that. We've talked to many of you out there that are struggling to find these medications. The fact that compounded Tirzepatide remains such a critical option for so many speaks volumes about the accessibility challenges surrounding Mounjaro and Zepbound. These drugs, despite their effectiveness, are priced at levels that are simply unattainable for a significant portion of patients. The announcement may be a technical resolution, but it doesn't address the deeper issue. Number one, patients just can't find these products. They are not in stock, no matter what Eli Lilly says, no matter what the FDA says. There are plenty of patients across the country that are having difficulty finding these products. Number two, patients simply cannot afford these branded products. Many patients are going without, due to either the exorbitant price or insurance restrictions or just an inability to obtain them. The lack of transparency of pricing, coupled with the involvement of PBMs and insurance companies, only exacerbates the inequity. It's hard to see this declaration as more than a temporary bureaucratic speed bump that fails to address the systemic barriers preventing widespread access to these life-changing medications. For many patients, compounded Tirzepatide is often the only viable option, and the enforcement discretion period is a small window of relief. But what happens when that window closes? This is the question we all need to be asking. The FDA's declaration might end a legal shortage on paper, but for patients left without affordable or accessible alternatives, the crisis is far from over. So, if you currently have a prescription for Zepbound or Mounjaro and you are unable to get it, if it is on shortage in your town, in your neighborhood, if you take it to your local CVS, Walgreens, whatever local pharmacy, and you can't get it within a few days, now it doesn't mean it's automatically right there for you, but you can't get it in a reasonable time, please go to the FDA website and report the shortage. I'll leave a link in the description so you make sure that it's easy to do. The other thing I would say is tell our story. So tell the story of your success, of your health, of your happiness to your friends, to your neighbors, to the news. Write letters to your congressmen and your senators. Make a stink. 75% of Americans are overweight or obese. That's more than voted in the last election. We can change things. So we will continue to advocate for transparency, affordability, and fairness in the system, and we hope the pharmaceutical industry will eventually prioritize patients over the extreme profits. Until then, we'll keep covering stories like this and pushing for the change that's so desperately needed. If you're confronting Zepbound shortages, as I said, report them. It's important. We'll keep following this case closely. If you found this update helpful, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a good evening. I'm Christopher Durham, and we are the Downsized. After